Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. This is part 2 of the process video because it just got too long. I am just popping this together before I head out the door. A little crooked, but close. I was playing with scraps and I had laid things out and I thought, well, this will be pretty cute. Then I stamped thank you on here. I think I'm going to cover up that bird because it's the same exact bird. So it's a little strange, but I'd like it higher. It needs a little something though, doesn't it? Like a layer behind it, or I don't think I'll like the stripe behind it. Remember how I talked about the border thing? Because if you do the same size border all around, you're gonna, yeah, Zeus is awake now and he's playing. Maybe if it's like that. Nope, don't love it. If I have a really narrow border, I don't like a lot of pattern on it. Okay, let's try that. If we don't like it, we can use the piece that we cut for something else. But remember, I said I was going to use some of these, and so far, I'm not sure. I think I've only used one in a small cluster. I haven't covered up the sentiments on any of them. Okay, if you're new, glue that down first and then cut it off. Then it's not sliding around. Or you could measure. That's just not my way. There we go. That makes it pop a little more. And then we're going to put a piece of paper under the right side so it's not sloppy. I use my ATG gun because I love it, by the way. I don't know how much they are post-COVID, but it was like $21. It's in my Amazon store and the link's down below. But, you know, check the price and be careful. But it was like $21 before COVID, and I had never, you know, I'd always seen them and thought, oh, that's bulky and heavy, and oh my gosh. If you want to make a lot of cards, do it. Get yourself an ATG. Now, if you're going to be like I'm going to weekend card make sometimes. I'm sure I've said this before with my grandkids or whatever. You don't need one. A roll of Dollar Tree adhesive will do you just fine. But sometimes it's hard to find. Okay, these, I'm going to use this for my scraps. Doesn't matter what color it is, but I do like that one, so we're not going to use it. Let's use the yellow. And sometimes I tear them, but if I do that, sometimes they're a little twisted and lumpy. So I try to resist the urge. And ATG, wet glue, it doesn't matter, but I am going to go wet because it lets me slide things just a little. So I put the same type of paper, so it's the same thickness. I don't always have the exact kind, you know, if it's a scrap of cardstock over here and I don't know where it came from, I might not have the exact same one. There we go. And I don't know if that's the middle. I just think, oh, I like where that sat. Now, I thought about before trimming a little bit off the top of this. I just forgot. I looked at it after I stamped it and thought, after that dries, I'll trim it a little. But I forgot. It's not going to end the world. I think this would be cute with some enamel dots or something here or here maybe. For now, we're going to put it in the bin, and in theory, I put the enamel dots on before I make the final video. In reality, sometimes I forget. Okay, here's one. I stamped a thank you on this thing that says, smell the roses. Sorry, it's early morning, and I probably haven't had enough to drink. My voice is raspy. Okay, I'm going to leave this little part down here for now, just for fun, see if we like it. But I think I need a little bit more off of this side. There we go. That's my whole system. It's very scientific. Involves a lot of measuring. I think it's adorable when people are like, can you tell me the measurements for that card? It's not that I won't share. I just don't know. And sometimes by the time you ask me that, I've given the card away. Okay, I still have quite a few sheets. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. 4, 5, 6. Maybe just 6. I thought I had 8 last night. These all have these great sentiments on them. So what I might do, I'll kind of see where the day takes me. Maybe tonight, I'm trying to think because it's It's spring break here, but it's very busy. I have an appointment this afternoon. Well, I have to go to work. Then I have an appointment this afternoon, and I'm having company from out of town. So now that I think about it, there's probably not going to be any crafting tonight. If I had some time, I think I would cut some of these and play with them and make some clusters. So maybe, but look, I still have 4 sheets. So maybe we'll plan on cutting one of these up and then 3 of these still making cards. I do like the blue stripe, but I don't know. The pattern's a little big. Maybe I like the organic ones better. I like it, but it's not like best ever my favorite. And then, I don't know if you got to see these. I have 2 back here. I'm almost toying with just stamping on the inside of these. Is that ridiculous? I just love them. This one is lots of scraps. This one, look, I actually remembered to emboss something. Kathy always remembers to emboss, and I forget. So this is not heat embossing. It's running it through your die cutter with embossing folder. And I was going to put 2 scraps of blue on each side, but I couldn't get another one cut straight, so I just used one. Okay, I'm going to put those right here. Actually, I'm going to put this one in the done bin because all it needs is enamel dots. And then I think that's it. I think I'm going to go to work. You've seen all the exciting crafting this morning. Sometimes just by looking at the piles and moving one thing along and thinking about it, it gives me, okay, what am I going to do next time to think about it? Because I have to go. Here's some more of those if I want more sentiment type things. I'm just cutting these off so I have an idea of how big of a piece of paper I have to work with. It may not be smart because, oh yeah, this is the kind where the pattern changes anyway. If it wasn't, I might not cut these off because then I could have taller strips if I wanted. But I sort of look at, okay, what would I do next? Oh, we've got something going here. Maybe this isn't the one. Maybe it is. Maybe this will layer behind it. That's a lot of pink on the top layer. We would need, if we do a vertical card, this might be wide enough. So we could go like this and like this. And then, I don't know. See what I'm thinking? And then that becomes a vertical card. Ooh, maybe we do use this thing. Okay, what do you think? Let's chop it. Let's just commit right now. Okay, we don't know what the very back layer is. Is this the back layer? Let's cut it big enough to be the back layer. So 4 inches wide by 5 1/4. But I'm not convinced it is yet. And that's okay. We can make it a little smaller. But since I don't know, I'm not going to glue the... Ooh, this is not going to work. Okay. Well, we're going to figure that out. These 2 are going to go together because I'm not going to chop up a big piece like this just to make that back layer. Okay. Seriously? Was that just one of our scraps? We're going to use it. Look at us, whipping out 2 cards in the morning. The whole sizing plan for that was because it already existed. It's a little bit blah, so I'm going to ink the edges. And I think to me it's blah because I like contrast so much. And that's just personal taste. Maybe you just love pastels and you don't need anything with them. I, one year, did a series of cards with the black and the pastels, and I love the black in this pad. I don't know that the ends are going to show, but we'll do them just in case. So I like to have some pop. And when you have pastels and a lot of white, you're just not getting that. There we go. And maybe I should have gone black. I don't think there's like a rule there. Okay, I'm going to glue this on here and cut it off. If I have a plan that I find to be, oh, okay, watch. I don't know if you've caught on to this. I don't use my glass mat a lot because of the glare, but I do like to use a cutter. It gives me an edge. I can push this straight up against it. So I work a little bit differently when I'm filming because of glare and noises and that sort of thing. But with whatever tools you have, ooh, I got ink on it. There's a way to do it. The bits of the pad that are falling apart are on the counter. So whatever we do, we're going to put something right over that. See it? Not the end of the world. Okay, maybe our thing will go there. And then maybe like this. It really should go this way though. See, that's going to annoy me now because there's the spot right there for it. I think I can make that work. Now, I don't know that I've made a card with one of these wax seals before. I know we talked about it, but I don't know that I got the job done. The fact that that's a little shorter is kind of making me crazy. And now I feel like I would have liked it better. Let's see if we can get it off. Let's go crazy. You can use, what's it called? Dental floss or some other things to do a more gentle job taking things apart. I just feel like I would like it better if the pink showed. There we go. I didn't actually ink this end. Oh, because I cut it off. So when you're putting things together, every once in a while you can take them apart. If I had let that sit longer, I wouldn't be able to. I would be committed. Like, you can't go have dinner and come back. That's probably not gonna... Dang it! You guys, this is what happens when you craft in the morning in a hurry. Okay. I do want to use that end to keep it straight, but obviously I can't go right against it. Now this is trickier because this piece of paper is super curled and I don't know the dimensions. So I don't know when I lay it down how much size is supposed to be at each end. So I have to check both ends. Does that make sense? If I had cut it and I knew, oh, it's a 1/4 of an inch more or an 1/8 of an inch, I would have an idea, because I've done it a million times, what that border should look like. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to check 2 corners and say, okay, does that look right? Then when I pull my finger out, do we think that this side, now remember, paper's really bent too. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. So trying to figure out all those borders is a lot easier if you do cut things and measure. And if you do cut and measure, hey, good job. Ooh, that was kind of fun too when it sat. Let's try something like that. I didn't plan it, but it just happened. Okay, I think it's something like that. Maybe it goes up higher. There we go. It's still gonna need another layer though when it goes on a card, I think. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that white border makes it work. I am committed to this, so let's glue this down now. And we've talked about wax seals. They go through the mail all the time anyway, so they should be fine on cards. I think it's just a matter of what glue are you going to use. Since I can't remember what I glued it on. Oh, I know. It was one of Noni's and it was Joya Blue. I don't know that I've given away that card yet, have I? I don't think any of you can tell me if it got to your house okay. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. Now, we're going to need to patch. If we patch behind the wax seal, I think it's going to show, right? It's somewhat transparent. But we definitely need to patch behind here because it's going to be sloppy. Or maybe what I should do, and I should have thought that before, is I should make it so this doesn't have to go on multiple layers. Yeah, maybe I should go like that. Aesthetically, like for the layout, I like it right here better. But this is kind of translucent and it's not going to lay very well. So if I go like this, I think it keeps it connected enough and I can just cut that one off. Let's see if these scissors will get the job done. This was on a wedding invitation. This one was, and I just cut it off and saved it. Yeah, I liked it better the other way. I like that. But I'm not sure how stable it is. Maybe if I just put a giant glob of glue, it'll work. You'll see the final later.
I don't know if I assembled that card on video, but this is the next morning, and this is really how I craft sometimes. I apologize for the lighting. This is a pretty short segment, but I wanted you to see it. What I have done is, instead of turning on the giant overhead lights, which are a lot in the morning, I have my Ott lamp that's off to the side. It's one of the pair I used to use to film with turned on, and probably nothing else in the room. And Zeus is still asleep on the chair, and I have just gotten up. I turned the lamp on, and then I thought, well, I've got that stuff laid out. So I'm just putting together card bases, and I've sped it up because it didn't have audio anyway, just chopping and that sort of thing. But it just shows you 10 minutes before work in the morning can make a big difference. It can also change your whole day because you did something besides work. This was a week that I think I mentioned we had a meeting going on, and then I had house guests coming, and then it was dog training class. So there just really wasn't a lot of time in the evenings. And by the time I went to sit down, isn't that cute? I was just wiped out. So I'm squeezing in the crafting time so that I can get done and make the video. And however you do it is fine. Now this is that Christy Marcotte maneuver. I love that blue paper. So before I used it as a background, because I did like it as a background on that card, I cut an oval out of it so I can have it for later. So just a trick on how to be really, really cheap, value focused, make them last, your favorite papers. Papers you can't buy again, or maybe it's the most perfect magical paper ever and you paid like $2 for one sheet. So just tidying up and moving things around. And I didn't have a plan for that oval. I just wanted to keep it. And I just picked up a card base and showed you that I realized I haven't been putting scraps on the inside. So I'll have to circle back to that at some point. I usually do that all at the very end anyway, so I don't use a scrap that I'm going to wish I had later. Look, we're getting there. Things are getting chopped up. Oh, isn't that butterfly paper magnificent? Love it. Later, I'm going to wish that I had centered the butterflies on that card. At the time, I didn't really care or think about it, but I think that's a card that I'm going to come back to. My card bases are a little crooked, so sometimes I stop and change them. And just laying them out and trying to be organized about it. You know, I am a messy crafter and I have a blast doing it. But if you have to come and go, organizing things a little bit helps you remember where you were. I've said it before. Sometimes I leave the next thing I'm going to glue or assemble on the counter. Sometimes even write myself a Post-it for the next thing because it might be 24 or 48 hours and I don't want to remember where I was. That's Noni texting me.
It is Wednesday night at 5:57 p.m. This video is supposed to come out tomorrow morning, I think at 9 a.m. my time. And so I think we better get to it. Ooh, that would be cute. This morning I made a not very well lit section that, if it turns out okay, you haven't by now seen. But I just wanted you to see kind of what I do sometimes when it's still morning, I'm not quite awake, but maybe I think I can make a difference and get a few things done. And right about now, I didn't hold that tight, by the way. There we go. I'm pretty glad that I did something this morning because I left myself tidied up and, oh, this is just so cute. That makes it a lot better, I think. And with a better idea of where I wanted to start. Sometimes when you leave things in a big mess, like I'm known to do, it's really good if you at least leave yourself a spot that you think will be an inspiration point. And I thought either this or this little happy birthday would be an inspiration. I don't remember if I stamped that on video or not, but at some point I stamped a couple things and then I found that one. And I was trying to decide, like, what's my next move? Do I want to put scraps inside all the cards because I've forgotten to do that up until now? Or do I want to keep going? And I think I want to keep going a little bit because I still have plenty. And as long as I don't use absolutely everything up, then I can still put scraps in the cards. And if I clean up the counter now, then it'll just be too much. It's a matter of I have to clean the counter right before I film. So I might as well just wait until I'm further along and I have less big stuff on it. Oh, this would be cute on the gray too. It's been a long time, so I forget, but we did use craft too, didn't we? Yes, we did. I mean, you may be watching this all at once, but remember, it's been days. Okay, this one, I have one left, and I wrote myself a note to hang on to it and use it for scraps for the back layer. I didn't like it with this at all, though. But I can also use it for die cutting if I decide I want a big piece, because all I have in my strips at this point, I think the absolute widest piece I have is maybe this is 2.5. So if I wanted a big oval or something, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I do have these to work with. This is pretty cute. This is probably not gonna fit on there. I don't like that. It's kind of a minty blue with the birds. I don't know if you can tell. It's not white, and I really don't see any reason to cover up the birds. If I was just smashing and I didn't love these papers, this could be a way. You could cut this off and then you could center the oval and you'd be using a whole bunch of pattern paper, and that's great, but I love these papers. So I'm actually making them go further than I might on other times. Okay, so this is 4 by 5.25, so that's going to be our base layer. I don't really have a plan here, but we'll figure something out. And then we could actually cut this one a little smaller if we like it. I'm not going to tell you I love it. What do you think? Let's look in the scraps and see if we have something better. It's also creepy those birds' heads are cut off. Where do we stand on that? Man, I got a lot of the stripe. It's because the back of it was these. So that might be something that I should do too, is sit on the couch and fussy cut some of those if I decide to use them. There's another one we could stamp a sentiment on and use that. That's okay. It's not great with this paper. The yellow, I think this yellow is just too pale. Like the yellow with the white dots, it just doesn't, I don't know, speak to me. Ooh, oh, it's sideways though. See, you kind of get down to a point where you're like, okay, oh, I like this one. It's going the right way. Not that it matters that much on a 1/2-inch strip. I mean, you're not really gonna notice, are you? I could make another one out of this too. Did we already make this card? Oh well, let's make one. This, I think it would be nice to kind of have a little space. I don't know why. Maybe certain patterns I like that way. I'm not going to promise you that's straight when I do it that way, but it's pretty close. Zeus got a new toy, so your dogs might be freaking out because they can hear a squeaky toy in the background. Noni and I went and got pedicures this afternoon, and then I sprayed some weeds, and then clearly I goofed off until it was pretty much dinner time, and then thought, gosh, I have a video due in the morning. Oh, kind of like it. What do you think of the space? Some things I don't know if you can see as well on camera. But it is nice to mix it up a little, or maybe if you're running really tight on scraps and you're trying to figure out how to make things stretch a little farther, or your paper has a blemish in a certain spot. Come on, we've all been there. Ooh, that is kind of cute. I like that. Sort of picks up the leaves and stuff in the other paper. And I just love contrast. Gotta have a little bit of contrast. Remember, even my pastels need black with them. We're going to throw that away. When it gets to the end and it's that gunky part, we're done. Now, we have a card base problem again. But what I want to see is, do I think, ooh, yeah, white. But I'm out. All I have is verticals, so I should be making vertical cards, but I have scraps that go for this. We'll make the card fronts first, because if I'm super tight on time, then at least I could film the video. There's no rule that says you have to have them on bases, right? You still smashed your pad. No rules, no rules. Okay. doesn't sing to me. This I just love, right? We should just keep using this side. I was going to make these cute little envelopes. I think I mentioned it a while ago that I saw in a video from Corey, and they have cute little pockets and stuff. I haven't had time to go back and look at that, and so I'm a little bit torn. Maybe I will make dinner and watch that video while I eat it, and then that's how we'll finish up. I don't think these papers would really be what you would make the little tri-tuck pocket thing, I don't know what it is, out of, but you could have all these cute little things that go in the pockets out of this paper because it has such tiny patterns. Somewhere there's a box on this counter. Here we go, all the way over here. So I'm going to put all of these things that, maybe we should make a card with that one. These are all things that I could fussy cut, or we could put in and out of pockets. We got a lot of blue to use here. Now, it's not all going the same direction either. Don't love that. I guess if I want, I could have this whole sheet, so maybe I should think about that too before I chop that up. Same here. Keep going, keep growing. Kind of cute, but pink. This isn't bad. This one, we would use that side. So when I get down to scraps sometimes and I'm trying to figure out what are we going to make here, I lay them out with, this is just boring. I mean, if it was light blue, I might be more excited about it, but it would be good if I needed a bunch of natural papers, but I have piles of tea-dyed stuff and all kinds of things. Same thing here. I like these butterflies, so I might be more likely to use this strip than this strip. We'll see. Anyway, so I lay things out. We'll put all these sentiments in here and think about them for a minute and a half. See, this one, I still have all of these that I could save. Like, don't take these moments for granted. That is really cute. Let's just cut that off and say, okay, we're keeping that one. The other thing I'm looking at is, do I have any reason that I don't want to cut them individually? And I might. So maybe at this point, we'll just say, I want this. And I'll try not to mess that up. If I cut them into the little pieces, I'd probably be more likely to not get confused and glue the other side to something, but we'll see. This is just a scrap. Okay, these are things we should try and make a card out of as the category. We've got a lot of the blue. We have this. I don't like this on here because of where I put these two. In fact, if there was blue on the border, I would like this better. So let's say no to that. It's not terrible on there, but again, it covers up a lot of the birds. So, I'm just experimenting with the size and thinking about it. Now, there's no rule that says our paper has to go all the way to the edge. So when we have a nice big scrap like this, I'm thinking this becomes a card. And since I don't have any card bases to lay things on top of, we need something. We need something to build our card on. So let's just chop up some gray to speed this process up so we can start laying out what we have left. So if we say, okay, back layer of cards, 5 1/4 by 4. You can do slightly different measurements, but if you're going for an A2 card, 5 1/4 by 4 just lays nicely on the front of a card with a cute little tiny border. See it? Oh, there's my Zeusy. He's got something to tell you about. Sorry if he just woke up all your dogs and your family. When he sees a dog go by, he's very reactive, and the front curtains are open. Clearly has something he wants you to know. We could put a scrap. We could essentially do something like this, but not all the way to the edges. But let's see what we have in our scraps before we do that. Well, those aren't going to work. Just to be sure we're not using big pieces. If we have small pieces, that'll do the same job. We don't. So here's what I'm thinking. I really liked this, and I really like the blue and the black together. So let's cut some strips of the blue that are this length and then repeat that idea. Maybe we will put this on top of it, and that'll be our focal point. That might be too much of the blue. I know, crazy talk from me, but could be. I'm gonna do, it's probably 1/2 inch because that's an easy section. Let's see. It's 4. I'm just kind of eyeballing. 3/4 of an inch, I think, is going to be too big in this situation for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to go a tiny bit wider than this silver strip. Try and get it straight, which, you know, could go either way. You definitely have to hold it down tight. That's why they put that finger guard thing, so you can hold your paper tight and not chop your hand. And then I use a piece of paper to push that tiny strip out of there. I mean, you can try and stick your fingers in there, but it's not really pleasant. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm just going to go like this. I don't know for sure that this piece of paper here is a logical length. You know, like a certain measurement, or if it was just whatever piece was left. There we go. Okay. Like that. Like that. Maybe a little more of the gray shows than I want. So if that's the case, remember the gray can change sizes. So I can put these a little closer and then trim some off if I don't like it. I'm going to, sometimes wet glue makes things buckle a little. So even with art glitter glue, be skimpy, but I'm gonna use wet glue so I can get this big piece where I want it and not have to worry about sticking it down and jiggling. With art glitter glue, you don't have a lot of time to jiggle, but more than, say, ATG, you know, tape adhesive. Okay, there. And I'm not sure it's quite centered, and that's okay. We can trim off one end if we don't like it. Many people use card sketches. There are tons of them available, and they're fun to use. I don't like to measure things, and I just sort of like to be inspired by the pieces that are in front of me. Like, we had this piece of black cardstock, so we went with it. And I don't know if you use card sketches, maybe you just end up with a whole bunch of scraps sometimes, unless you use the ones from Just Crafts, meant to not give you scraps. See how that, sometimes I'll try a card sketch, but mostly I don't, because then I just end up with weird pieces of paper or something afterwards. And I don't really know how to plan it all through, and I don't know that I want to. Seems like work. It works, or maybe it almost works. I would like the black to show more around there. But we have a lot of this blue to use, and we're not going to have many choices to put this on, I don't think. Except, I think I had some card fronts that weren't quite done. Here we go. So let's see if we like it better on any of these. This card goes this way. Maybe. Has a ridge. I could cover it up and work with that. I actually like it better on that one than any. Okay, so I think I'd be more likely to put it on this than on this. So let's set it right there and go on with our day. Now, if we use this, we just don't really have anything to lighten it up, right? It's such a dark card, and then to bring that in, I don't know that that makes sense. So maybe, and remember, we are light on scraps at this point because I went a little crazy. Oh, okay, we have to, that's not a good mat for that. If we cut it down to just the happy birthday, one of these other ones might fit. Oh, that green is terrible. We could mat it with gray. Let's try that here. Okay, we could mat it with the gray. We could make this whole thing bigger by matting it with the gray and leave the bees on there because they're cute. Okay, let's do that. That corner's a little dented, so let's put it on this one. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger border because we have a pretty big border for the gray. There we go. And this time I glued it down instead of trying to jiggle and hold. And like I said before, there's not necessarily one perfect way to do everything. except I did cut that a little narrower than I liked because I kind of forgot we were making them bigger than I normally do. And now to keep it even around, tidied it up. Okay. It just makes it bigger and gives it some, I don't know, makes it stand out a little. I don't want it right on the black, I don't think. I think I'd rather have it across here. Then I'm going to need some fussy cut things. I'm going to need some butterflies or some birds. Oh, wait, don't we have puffy stickers? Let's see what we've got. Yeah. I'm not going to push them down all the way yet because we can adjust them at the very end if I don't have them too stuck. Let's use this little bird. I thought we had another bird somewhere from this collection. Oh no, I'm just trying to figure it out. How do I like it? Where do I want my objects to be? I don't want that little bird to get lost. So I'm thinking, yep, he needs to go here. He can go right on that flower. How about that? I don't know that he needs any glue on him, but just in case, also he has a bunch of lint or something sticking out the back. Let's get that off. And let's put him like right here. So he really kind of stands out. He was getting a little bit lost in these. And I'll just make a decision, right, wrong, or indifferent, where this goes. Because for me, if everything is still moving around, I can't make a decision on where things go. Like something has to sit. There we go. Maybe I just want this. Yeah. Sort of looks like a circus a little bit, doesn't it? I think that happens sometimes. We're going with it. Okay. I like puffy stickers, but they can get a little away from me because I get so excited there. I like that better. You guys can't see, but off camera I just stabbed myself with my art glitter glue pen. It's a talent that I have, let me tell you. Okay. It's not my favorite ever, but it's not the worst. Okay, so this one needs a card base, but other than that, done. Let's take another piece of gray, see if we can use up some of this stuff. This one sort of needs a focal point too. Oh, let's get one of those ones we could stamp on there, but there were a couple here. This one's not going to work very well to stamp on because it's small, and then I'm going to have to cut that border off. It's going to be kind of obvious. Smell the roses. I can't remember if we used that for happy birthday before. I think the thank you fits better on that space, doesn't it? Yep. I was going to use blue ink, but it's not a clean stamp, so let's just go black. Okay. And again, I'm choosing that solely based on the shape of the stamp and will I use the sentiment. It's not my favorite font. I mean, plus I've been using it since 2001. I think I actually bought that stamp set new because I think I have the happy birthday and some other stuff that was in that sentiment set. I could be wrong. You know, a lot of them I pick up along the way used. Okay, I'm going to let that dry all the way. And while I'm thinking of it, let's use this one too. Can we fit? Oh, it's going to be close. Let's try it. I mean, what do we have to lose? Worst case scenario, we cut it off, throw it away. Yeah, that'll be nice because it's a different color. Kind of mix it up. Okay, so we'll let both of those dry. Then we'll have 2 thank you sentiments. You can't really have too many thank you cards, can you? We could use that one, but gosh, it's boring. Let's stamp it and see if we like it. Oops, I felt like I went a little low. We might not be in the box. We'll see. Okay, whew. Cut it close. Has some white on that side. We still need to trim off. Okay. 3 thank yous. Nope. You know what we could, would it be weird? Let's do it. I'm going to do a happy birthday down here because then I can cut off. It's a little crooked too, I think. Yeah, it's a lot crooked. I didn't put this stamp together. So the words are very straight, but the stamp itself isn't. That's okay. We'll pretend we wanted it that way. I don't love this part, so I think I would want to cut that off for sure. That's why I put it so far over. I do this a lot at the end. I just kind of look at it and say, ooh, you know, I haven't done a lot of die cutting in here, probably because it didn't feel like stars. It already had so many butterflies. I do have some bird die cuts, but I mean, they're tiny. Like my bird dies, I think, are all really tiny. I don't recall having any like mid-sized wing outline type ones. Now, what could we put here? We might be able to cut like this with a tiny oval. I don't think so, though. What is yours? We'll find you. I like it for a journal, not so much for a card. Let's look and see. We have quite a few horizontal pieces here. So now my plants are growing the wrong way. So when you have directional papers, I think it's pretty handy to lay out your scraps next to each other and kind of figure out what you have to work with. Oh, because this is where it gets interesting. I have enough, I think, let's see. I have enough here that we could make a card back with it. And will the patterns line up perfectly? No. Does the world end? No. If you cover enough of it up, it doesn't matter, even if you don't close it with washi. And if you look, nope, that wasn't the one. Somewhere I did that on a card. It's this one. This is 2 pieces of black. Oops. And right there, I didn't trim the end all the way, so it kind of shows. So we should probably do this as a vertical card and make this the top or something. But as long as you actually cut them the perfectly same length, it wouldn't matter. I just forgot to fix them after I taped them together. So let me show you what I'm talking about and why I was excited to find these two. Oh, look, that might work. So the 2 of those together are about 4 inches. Great. So we're going to turn them over. And I have done this before where I put washi tape across the front. You know, when you have this much washi on a roll. Oops. We might have to cut that out because I don't know if you saw any of what happened. Anyway, when you have that much washi on a roll, you use it for anything. But when you start to get skimpy, not so much. Okay, so I'm just taping the back. Now, on the prior one, I didn't tape the front because I don't really like to have a row of washi tape right down what's pretty much the middle of my card. And lots of times I end up with 2-inch strips, so it is the middle. If it was a design accent off to the side or, you know, a 1-inch, I would probably be more excited about it. Let's cut this end. Okay, now we need to cut the other end too, so they line up perfectly. That's what I forgot to do on the other one. And this is going to be our base layer, so I'm going to go 5 1/4. Okay. Then we could even, oh, look at us. Right across there, bam. And it looks like we had a whole piece and we didn't sacrifice this piece as a card layer for the back. And then instead, let's try putting this, oh, it would look nice on here. I think it would maybe look even better on craft. Let's try it because of the brown and the birds. Before I film the final video, I of course have to look around and be sure I didn't drop pieces or whatever, but you probably have an idea because you've been watching and the number has dwindled. Check before you cut your pieces of paper. If the corners are bent, then just pivot it and or cut off both sides. You know, sometimes you drop a package or you got it on clearance and it's a little more beat up than others. That's perfectly fine because you're not going to use every bit of it. And I'm not going to save these. If it was one piece that was a 1/2-inch strip, I'd probably shove it into my jar. Yeah, I think I like that. Let me think for a minute. We're going to glue this onto here and then give it a nice clean cut on each end, unless I want it to go all the way. It might be cute like this too, with quite a bit of the brown showing. I can hear noise in the neighborhood. He's turning into quite the little garter, isn't he? Do you wonder if I break dogs? I'm starting to wonder that. Let's try it, just because I never do that. So what I'm thinking is, this is 5 1/4. I want a nice big 1/4 inch all around. By 4, let's cut it off of this side. I don't know why. I just feel like that way if I have to highlight that strip for some reason. Oops, I probably shouldn't have done that because I forgot I was going to put the stuff. It doesn't matter. I think it'll cover it because it's wide. Look at that. And then we put that. Yeah, it's just different because I usually cut everything with borders all around. So let's try this. Now I'm going to glue the blue to the brown. A bit extra glue in the middle because it has the 2 parts. So we don't want things wobbly. I'm going to try and get my nice, beautiful border because I don't want to cut any off because it's all the same. That'll work. Okay. Then we're going to put this across here and it's going to bother me. I know, it's weird. Is it weird? I just don't know that I want to glue it down, but I don't want my layers to stick out and show either. So I think I'm just going to have to accept that. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue it down. And then if the ends are sloppy or anything, I'll stick a little art glitter glue in there. If I cut it to the right size, then we would know exactly where to put the glitter on the glue on the end, but then there might be measuring and that's just not relaxing to me. Okay, now I'm going to take it, if you're great with scissors, super. If you're not, I take it, I put it beautifully in my cutter. It's all lined up. I'm gonna hold this tight. Gonna double check. I'm gonna take a hair off. There. Literally, it was a hair. With that cutter, you could do that. If you have like a paper trimmer with a track, I would probably recommend scissors instead. Do I love it? No. I think I would have liked it better if I had moved the paper down. Wasn't really thinking about that. This is just a tiny little weird spot, and obviously if it wasn't directional paper, I would flip it, but it is. Now I think what might help is if we put a sentiment right here, or I'm just experimenting with the oval itself, not the colors. Maybe cute little things that I had here. Oh, I like this guy. He deserves to be right there. Look at that. Okay, then maybe we have a happy birthday that fits there. Or maybe one of these millions that we cut. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to glue that on yet in case we change our mind. And maybe... Nope, I like it there. It covers up the headless birds too. So that's nice. Happy birthday. Not thank you for, oh, happy day. I guess it works, but it's better for happy birthday. Okay. There. I hope that when you're watching these videos, you are doing something fun and that you're getting inspired and thinking, hey, I can do that. I can make cards too. I should get to it. Now, we can turn it side. Well, maybe we can't pull it off. I was thinking we could. Could we make this one work? If not very much of it shows, nobody's going to notice that the plants are growing sideways. What I think I'm going to do, just to help this pop a little, is I'm going to use it right here. I can get, this scrap was a little too small, unless I want to cut it smaller, but I don't. And I can't go, oh, maybe I can. This is what I mean. Sometimes I just get my inspiration from my scraps. Did I know that's the shape and size I was going to cut it? No. Can you ask me later what the measurements are? No. Because I won't have the card and I can't go back and measure it, and I'm probably not going to. I mean, even if I have it, I'm going to get sidetracked by 10 things when I go in the craft room. You could leave that, like, it's a look, right? We could leave it, we could tear. Let's try it. If we don't like it, we just cut it anyway. Okay. Gives it a little more pop. Then, let's put it either on craft, or maybe we use a bit of blue. No, because I just think that's probably too much on there. What if we go really small, though? When I talk to you, do you answer me? Okay, how about, let's try it, like a little tiny border like that. Even if you have about, 4 layers of paper, it's still very mailable. It's when you get into chipboard and big embellishments that you start to have to pay up or use the special stamps, or that your cards will get damaged. Gluing a lot of layers of paper together, it takes quite a bit to push you over the weight, and it takes quite a bit. I'm going to tear this one shorter just because I'm trying to make this a little shorter. Oops, got a little crazy there. Took off more black than I would have liked. If you don't want it to tear so much, like here, I'm holding the top layer down with my thumbnail so that it can't get away from me and tear up into the black, because I just want some of that white off. There. Happy birthday. Oh, happy day. Are they the same color? No. Is that okay? Sure. If you like it. Now, if I let this touch, I lose that whole fringy kind of interest thing. So I'm not going to let that touch onto the blue. If they were different papers, I would probably move it down a little and just have it kind of tie all of that together, and it would be closer to this. And there's probably some art term for that, which I don't know. Okay. And this will be even cuter, just to give you an idea. When you put them on their base layer, it just gives it another point of interest and kind of ties it all together. And I do like that this goes all the way across the brown once you layer it on. See the difference? That's just adding more layers to your cards, even if it's just letting that card base show, adds interest. And you know that if I cut it the size of the card base, my odds of getting it on there right are slim to none. I have dual motivation. I very often craft in spurts. You get your inspiration, you take a break, go. I know, sometimes you can let a little bit of real life into crafting and relaxing, but you'd be amazed. You stop and you shift the laundry, or you load the dishwasher, and then you come back and you're like, yay, I get to craft again, and you're re-inspired. I don't usually, you probably know from watching my videos, but I don't usually say, oh, I'm going to craft for the next 4 hours straight and I'm on a deadline or anything. And I don't think I ever set a timer for crafting, unless it's maybe before work or when I'm supposed to go somewhere. It's not to make myself craft longer. Never. It's so that I don't forget to show up if I'm supposed to be at your birthday party or something. Weird things. We've got some weird things left. My thought with these, at first I was thinking I'd cover them up. It's really hard to get this perfectly straight on such a long strip. So what I'm probably going to do is cut them into whatever this is, 2-inch pieces, and then just snip the edges with scissors and use these to make a strip card. Ooh, in this case, I'll probably use the butterflies, because I could probably make quite a few strip cards. There's no rule, by the way. There's no rule that says you have to use every bit of this. If you want to throw these in the trash because you're done with the paper pad, that is your deal. Part of the reason I keep them is A, it's a smash the pad video, and so I feel like I should, and B, every once in a while, I want a little bit of black or a little bit of this, so I never, even if I think that's tiny and I don't want to use it, I don't throw those away till the very end, even if they're pink. If you're new, you're like, what? But I lean towards the blue. I think this is the one that's vertical. I think we should put the ferns right side up. The only problem with this, when I put this card together, I was thinking like artsy. Now to put an oval on the front of it when I didn't center the middle. I mean, I don't know if I intentionally didn't center or if I just don't like the oval. I think it needed to be centered for that. Unless I put it over here and just cut it off. We could do that and then put something on there. Maybe we put the thank you on there. Okay, let's see. Sometimes when you have an idea, you just got to try it out before you stop for a break. It is, I don't know, but it's, oh, I have a watch on. 6:40, right? So I don't remember what time we started. Maybe it's been about 40 minutes, because didn't I say it was right about 6? Anyway, that little man needs to be fed. So do I. And I almost made a pot of tea before I started this video, but then I just decided to stop dinking around and get to it. So I might do that. Ooh, that's kind of fun. And then, here, let's do this. I don't know the right way to do this, but I can tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to shove it in the paper cutter. I'm going to try to make sure it's straight. And I'm going to do that by, like, kind of, I don't know. That's a good system, right? And then I'm going to put it right here, all the way to the edge of the blue. I'm going to put this on it. Oh, that's fun. I think it could use, if we have it, a little bit of black. I mean, we could use black cardstock, but how cute would this be? I don't want to cut this smaller. I really like the size that it is. You know I'm going to find it later when I go to clean up. It's up to you to see the beauty of everyday things. I know one of you sent me that, so I have it. Whoa, that's just, we got a lot of patterns. We got plenty, don't we? You're like, whoa, stop, Sarah. Okay, let's put it on a scrap of black, though. I just think it's going to be amazing. Yeah, I really keep pieces that small. I don't know what to tell you. I probably thought I was going to need it sometime. My corner rounder has a little oops there. Okay, now what I should do is figure out what size this should be and then cut it down to the perfect size and then round the corners before I put it all together. And yeah, I'm not going to do that. That seems good. Now I do want the corners rounded. Does anybody remember what number I used? Man, oh man. I'm going to go 7. Got lucky. Got lucky. Okay, the bottom is a little big. See, that space is a little big. I think that's okay. There we go. That's cute. Okay, so I made that oval because I love that paper and I wanted to squeeze every bit of it out that I could. And yet it turned out, I was thinking I'd have the oval at the end maybe, but it turned out it made a fun card. Now, you could adjust this sort of up and down anywhere you like, depending on which butterflies you want to show. Now, I don't think I want the same stuff to show twice, so I'm going to try to put it here, because that's one thing that as I started working with these papers, I realized it's not random. It's literally, look, it's a repeating design. Right here, it flips again and starts. So, I don't love that, I gotta tell you. I wish it was more random, because especially since I cut the pieces of paper the same, I had scraps with the same exact butterflies on them, and I didn't want to use them together on a card necessarily. So if I was going to use the same paper pad again, I would, even when I was going to cut a vertical piece of this for a card front, I would cut off the left side of the paper, and then I would cut off the right side of the paper so that my scraps weren't exactly the same pattern pieces of paper. There we go. I'm just patching that, see? Sometimes when you have a really odd shape, it is a little easier not to use your ATG, but I'm a little lazy. Okay, now I'm going to take my fingernails. You could use maybe a ruler, something. I'm just going to line it up there. If it wasn't glued down, I would tip it up or do it against my cutter. That's weird how it's like one big. Oh, maybe should have gone over there a little more. That's okay. We did it. While we're at it, we might as well put a piece of paper on the inside because we're going to have a bunch of those to do. And if you're new here, you can just get an idea that I'm not going to show you all of this on camera, but there will be a scrap of some sort, very likely whatever size it is that's already cut, on the inside of every one of them. If I do a random card and then I forget, but before I send it to you, I might put a cute little stamp in there. I might put a sticker. I usually like to have something on the inside. Time to make the tea and the dinner. This is probably the end of the process video. So I will say thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're taking time for crafting and relaxing. Bye-bye.